Hi, this is a recording. I only recently learned how to read and write. It's a new skill for me. It's not something the general taught me. I was the last one born of a set. My mother died during. She fulfilled her function, so she had the right to die. My grandfather took us after that, to an isolated planet. Settlements had yet to be raised here. Rare planet. You need to be powerful to even visit. Hardly live. Grandfather was almighty, yet he lived in a cabin. A small cabin, without cribs in it. I don't remember being a baby. My first memory was him showing us how to make a snare trap. He used to tell stories of messengers. He told us our purpose. We were children of the sky, and it was our birthright. The soldiers of stone owned the earth, yet their hearts were filled with cupidity and iniquitous ideals. So naturally they tried to take the star in heavens. My brothers and sisters were born for the single purpose of ending this farcical scenario, which only purpose is to plague humanity with death. Us, the children of the sky, were born with the single purpose of ending the soldiers of stone. I say with complete sincerity that it is my righteous duty to end the serfs, and I will. Grandfather taught me a lot. He used the brawl of the serfs. Apparently that's the way he lost his arm. He was considered a high member amongst his warriors. He tried warning them that we needed to take more drastic measure to eliminate the soldiers of stone, but his fellow warriors claimed to be of a mind not his own, and isolated him from amongst their ranks. Then we were given to this world, gifts from sky, the warriors he needed. He trained us since birth, not to be nefarious, but rather to demonstrate how magnanimous he could be. He taught us all the most salient of lessons. When I was only the age of 6, he taught us to swim. As always, everything was fine till it was no more. The one we would later refer to as Demai was just thrashing in the water, screaming, begging us to help him. The water was strange. As he struck his hand through it, an empty gap would appear for a second before the water would swarm around his flesh. The one we would later refer to as Hazeldale was going in to assist him in this struggle, but then grandfather stopped him. If a person has chosen to drown, then there is truly nothing you can do to save them. He continued to struggle for a couple of movements more, screaming, begging to us, before falling, becoming Duma. The next day he took us out and dropped us all off in different areas, telling us if we choose to survive, we will. I didn't see another person for 1 year. I used the traps I was taught in order to survive, to hunt and kill. I found the whole experience to be quite peaceful. Each morning I would awake in the time of other stars and watch the morning star breach and blind the others out of the sky. So beautiful as it would pierce the forest, create miscreant shadows, or with trickery amongst mould. Grandfather returned to me. He asked me why I would fight the soldiers of stone. I told him because I fight for the sky. Then he said, "Good, we have surpassed the basic understanding of you, but we need to breach past this shallow depth to your core, to you." Then he pulled a container from his ride. He removed the lid, and it was filled with water, and broken water all the same. He asked me, "Who are you?" I replied, "Child of the sky." He responded by dragging me by the ponytail over to the container, holding my head moments away from its cold, misted presence. He asked again, "Who are you?" I replied again, "Daughter of sky." He shoved my head inside. I felt my face shiver and my teeth become solid. He held me there for half a breath before pulling me out. "Who are you?" He screamed into my face. "Who are you?" Once more I replied, "Contender of the soldiers of stone." He pushed me underneath again. He held me there for longer this time. I ran out of air this time, and the coldness ran down my throat into my body. My struggles began to falter, then he removed me. throwing me backwards against the ground. The numbness in my face was quickly replaced by the stinging sensation all over. I coughed all the coldness out of my body. He looked at me. "We will try again next month." And he kept his word. So many risings of the MorningStar later he returned. This time he carried a bag. He didn't waste any time. He tied me to a tree. Then he set up a mirror so I could see my back. He moved my ponytail so it was hanging down my side. He said, and he kept his word. So many risings of the MorningStar later he returned. This time he carried a bag. He didn't waste any time. He tied me to a tree. Then he set up a mirror so I could see my back. He moved my ponytail so it was hanging down my side. He said, "Wouldn't want to ruin your beautiful hair. Now if you close your eyes, something worse will happen." He started a bonfire next to himself and placed a metal hammer in it. "Now who are you?" Like before, I replied, "I am daughter of Sky, one of the children of the sky, contender of the soldiers of stone, daughter of Leonidas and your grandchild." He didn't say anything, but pulled a small knife from his bag. Size was smaller than his finger, but certainly longer than it. It only had one sharp area at the end. He brought it to my back. I screamed as it sliced open the flesh on my back. I made the mistake of closing my eyes. The second I did, he picked up the hammer and pressed the heat against my wound, burning off that area of skin. He put the hammer back into the fire. "Who are you?" I replied, "I am you, warrior." He sliced my back again. I screamed, but I was able to keep my eyes widened this time. After slicing, he grabbed a lemon, with the skin shaved off, and pressed it against the cut. I screamed again. He then pulled out a small piece of metal with a string attached and proceeded to thread it through my skin, tightening the wound. This went on till there was no room on my back for marks of any other. I made the mistake of not being able to widen my eyes a few more times. Electricity, suffocation, heat, cold, and patience. These were all used during my discovery of who I am. Initially, I was very reliant on my traps to supply me with food as I struggled with the pain. But eventually, I got used to hunting in pain, and every morning the MorningStar grew with more and more beauty. Admiration of it was just benevolent. One time he appeared, tied me up, and left me with a drip of water falling on my head. It was maddening. I began to wonder if my father ever missed me, if he ever shed a tear for his lost daughter. The last time he asked me who I was when I was 10. He had tied me to a chair and was simply just beating me until the chair broke. I stood up freed of my shackles and screamed at him, "I am death to the soldiers of stone. I am end of a conflict and the beginning of freedom. I am the MorningStar." He smiled and clapped. The teachers have told me since that what he did was cruel, that nobody should be pressured to do the things I did at the age I did them at. I don't think it was cruel, but I think it was secure. I know who I am, and that is the greatest gift I could ever receive. He took me in his ride back to his cabin, telling me it was time for me to truly become who I was meant to be. When we arrived, he tied me to a special table, then explained the idea is that I could be anybody, any member of the human race. He then put a glass container of what I originally thought was water on the table. It had a long, thin glass cylinder. "You could be anyone, but not with a pretty face. Not with your mother's face. I need you to be anyone." He used the long, thin cylinder to spread the liquid across my face. Have you ever had an insect bite you? Ever had a bug try to eat you? This felt nothing like that. It started as a light stingy that increased in intensity till it felt like my face was on fire. He set up a mirror above me. He wanted me to see this too. My skin started to bubble, blister, until there were stripes down my face as my skin snapped under the stress. Flesh and muscle I'd never even considered the existence of suddenly became all too real. I became what he wanted me to be, a nobody. A month later, he was shot. Apparently, he was removed from the ranks of his soldiers for outlandish methods for fighting the serfs. My mother didn't die from birth. Her and father died shortly after the birth. Grandfather wanted us, and so he took us. The warriors apologized to us, asked me what I wanted. I said I wanted to continue my training. I watched the other recruits. 4 is facetious, 11 is regretful, 19 respectful, but only 22 is like me. Only he has that look in his eyes, a shared look between us. This government training, the government recruit. Only he has that look in his eyes, a shared look between us. This government training, the recruit training, is not anywhere near close to being the hardest thing we've ever had to do. I am the MorningStar. I am the first recruit.